Welcome to Autumn Leaves Maple Farm. We make maple syrup from the big leaf maple trees located on our property. Here's the sugar shack and some of the farm equipment. The season for tapping the trees starts when the leaves fall and the weather turns clear and cold. The sap will start to spoil in a matter of a few days, so it's important for us to keep the main storage tank on the north side of the shack out of direct sunlight. Anyone can tap a tree for as little as $2. Conditions might be favorable at various times throughout the winter, but I suggest you be prepared to start on February 1st. You will need a portable drill and a hammer. When you first get started, I suggest that you don't try to reduce the sap to syrup, but drink the sap as you might drink coconut water or use the sap in cooking or in herbal tea. Each winter we set a bucket and 2 taps at the base of each tree in preparation for tapping. There are enough trees on our 20-acre property to allow for 850 taps. We've built trails that are accessible by tractor, but many of the trees are off the beaten path. We tap all the trees, but there's no knowing which trees will produce sap. Older trees are less likely to give up their sap, and the rate of flow may vary greatly between the trees. When you're ready to tap a tree, check the diameter of the tree. For ease, use the circumference as a measure of the diameter, the circumference being approximately 3 times larger than the diameter. Set 1 tap for each 6 inches in diameter over and above an initial 12-inch diameter tree. We pre-cut the tubing into comfortable lengths. It's easier to manage pre-cut lengths than to work with joiners. Just be sure that the sap flows downhill to the bucket. Drill a 1.5 inches deep hole on a slight downward angle on the sunny side of the tree. Check to see that the swarf is milky white. If it is not, it could be that the hole is in dead wood or too close to the previous hole. When setting a tap, you'll know if the tap is deep enough because the tone of the hammer will change. Set the bucket on stable ground. Larger operations connect all their trees with tubing and apply suction to the line to get the sap to the sugar shack. Then they use reverse osmosis to remove most of the water before they finish the syrup on the stove. It seems that Eastern Canada prefers lighter color syrup. The amber-colored syrup is shipped west. It just so happens that big leaf syrup is generally amber in color. We collect the sap in ice cream buckets, which are normally available for free at the local ice cream store. We transfer the sap to 5-gallon buckets, which we will collect later. Casey has decided to help Philip with the transfer of sap. Our evaporator or syrup stove is wood-fired, which is good because we have never-ending supply of windfall. If we're lucky, a fallen maple will copious, generating new growth and come back stronger. The sugar maple back east doesn't do that. Sugar maples will, given the opportunity, live and produce sap for 300 years or more. We are always planting new saplings, but it's hard to stay ahead of the deer. Broadleaf maple takes about 35 years to mature before it's suitable for tapping. The 5-gallon buckets are then transferred to an 80-gallon tank, which is secured in the bucket of a tractor. At approximately 10 pounds per gallon, you are looking at close to 800 pounds. So we have a counterweight on the back of the tractor to give it some balance. If you think the sap looks like water, you would be 98% correct. We have to reduce the sap by 40 to 1 to get syrup. It's lucky we're not collecting birch sap because we'd have to reduce the sap by 80 to 1. I've heard that there are over 40 different species of trees that you could tap. We have tried ironwood syrup, but we haven't tried tapping any other species of tree ourselves. Having the tank on the front of the tractor definitely helps with the transfer of sap to the main storage tank. The storage tank holds 200 gallons. The Tiger torch is good for lighting the stove. Once the stove gets going, a fan in the back of the stove ensures that the stove burns at full capacity. A series of float valves is incorporated into the process of reducing the sap. The sap is first pumped up into a 50-gallon tank in the mezzanine. The sap runs from there to the hood of the stove. The heat of the stove warms the sap as it flows through a series of pipes in the hood. The sap then flows into the flue pan, which is corrugated to maximize the surface area of sap to pan. As the density of the sap changes, the sap flows into the two front pans, gradually getting denser. Because the stove is turning water into steam, at the rate of 30 gallons an hour, we have to be careful to watch that the syrup doesn't burn. The stove needs to be stocked every 10 minutes. We go through 1 quart of wood for every 600 gallons of sap. One of the byproducts of the process is distilled water. Anything else goes up our 2 smokestacks as steam. We test the density of the syrup regularly and draw it off before it's finished. We then boil everything again at a reduced rate. We finish the syrup in a stainless steel pot over a turkey fryer burner. The burner turns water to steam at the rate of 1 gallon an hour, so you will see that boiling 600 gallons on a turkey fryer just doesn't make sense. We use a refractometer to measure the quality of the syrup. The finished syrup then goes into a filter pan, which doubles as a double boiler and a bottler. Syrup will develop a sand called niter. The big operations force the syrup through multiple layers of filter cloth to remove the niter. We finish the syrup in small batches and use just 1 layer of cloth, which we change regularly. We could wash the sand with cheap spirits and draw off the flavored spirits, but it does create a lot of work. We bring the syrup to a temperature of 185 degrees and bottle it. We lay the bottles on their side for a couple of minutes so as to ensure good seals with the cap. Then there's cleanup. Everything is rinsed in vinegar, then it's pressure washed, and we hang it to dry. No need to treat the tree. The holes will start to heal themselves in a matter of 6 weeks. Whatever you do, don't plug the holes or introduce anything. Trees tend to heal themselves in a relatively short period of time. The timing has to be right for tapping. Then it's off to market. Hope to see you there. Thank you for watching.